All right. What's happening,
Yes,
buddy?
very well. Yeah, it's 2nd of June.
I
Yeah,
know
I'm looking
already.
looking forward to the summer actually.
Doesn't that come quick? You got any plans for summer?
Uh, Actually, for the first time, I don't have concrete plan for
Yeah.
the summer. I know I'm gonna going away for August,
Okay.
half of August.
Okay.
So I'm going to Greenland,
Oh,
of all
cool.
places,
Oh, cool.
and then I'm gonna spend a couple of days in the continental Europe. Yeah, that's
Nice.
about it. Yeah.
Nice one. You been to Greenland before?
No, it's not the place that you go
Not really.
lightly.
No. Yeah. Not really.
Yeah,
Cool. And is that business or pleasure?
pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think United started a new flight
Mm.
nonstop from Newark.
Yeah.
So we booked it using miles, and
Okay.
this is booked a while ago.
Okay.
As soon as they started that route, so we booked up before actually this whole political,
Sure.
scene come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you gonna bring some Sichuan pepper with you to try to see what's going on there?
Always,
See what the appetite
always,
for Sichuan is over there. Yeah.
always. I mean, as you know, as an entrepreneur, you couldn't shut up talking about it,
Yeah.
right? So I always have
Yeah.
some products with me just in case any opportunity comes up. If I go to restaurants, if I see something, if I meet a chef, I always have something prepared.
Yeah. I'm a part of the pleasure, particularly it's a passion project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the pleasure is sharing that with other people.
Yeah. I mean, that's my job now. Actually, that's the thing about entrepreneurship, right? I'm soon we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, but I think entrepreneurship is sort of a lifelong thing, right? You can just not switch it off, which is a blessing, but also a curse, right? You cannot switch it off. I'm always on.
Yeah. It's hard. I think if you work for someone or work another job, you have your specified time, and
Yeah.
for the most part, I mean, I haven't done this in a long time.
Yeah.
I imagine
Yeah.
your weekends or your days off, you're not thinking about work.
Yeah.
When it's your own business,
Yeah.
It's all the time.
It's all the time, but also it's fun all the time, but also
Mhm.
stress all the time. So how do you balance this? It's
There is no balance.
there's this hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of I think about it a lot. It's that kind of dichotomy between you're free in so many ways compared to like working for someone else or working for a
Exactly.
company or organization.
Yeah.
But you're also tied down in different ways. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I think in a way, I mean, I come from a very corporate or international organizations background. That's my first 10 years of career, right? I worked for the World Bank, so I'm very familiar with being tied down to a desk job, to like a corporate job. I think now I'm managing my own time, my own diary, my own calendar, my own schedule. So I think I still prefer the latter, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I can get a lot more things done. Like I do what the heck I want, and but the goal is to everything I do is revolving around the business.
Yeah.
And I get to achieve a lot, actually.
I'm sure. And there's so much room for creativity as well compared to working within that corporate structure. I've only dipped my toes in corporate waters very briefly.
And you're like, oh,
not for me, not for me.
Yeah.
And so you worked for the World Bank for a decade. How did you start? How did that?
So that's why I'm actually in Washington D.C. So I was born and raised in Chongqing, China, right? So I was from Chongqing, was part of Sichuan, and then I went to college in Beijing. I was supposed to be a Chinese diplomat, but I quickly realized actually the Chinese bureaucracy is definitely not my thing.
Yeah.
So I applied for grad school and I came to D.C. So I pursued a master's degree at Johns Hopkins, the School of Advanced International Studies. It's called SAIS, and which is very similar to like foreign service. So my focus was economics and clean energy. So after master's degree, I went to the Middle East. I worked in the UAE for 2 years, and then I came back and I got a job at the World Bank, and then I started working there. But I think, after some time, after maybe a couple of years, I realized actually, I really wanted that job because I was supposed to get that job because I want to do international development, I want to do clean energy policy, and the World Bank is really the place to go.
Yeah.
But I think once I had it, I realized actually my passion is not. Something was a bit off.
Yeah.
I couldn't really articulate at the time, but I think after more self-exploration, I realized actually I think I'm more of an entrepreneur. I like building things. I like being creative. I like, making connections and then make things happen. So that realization, come later, and then I started becoming very um, alert to business ideas, and I went home for Chinese New Year, and my mom was making a cucumber salad,
Okay.
and then she used this oil, this green Sichuan pepper oil, to finish off the greens the cucumber salad, and then that was like I had it. I had one bite. I was like, wow, this is amazing flavor, and it's a very unique sensation. I think this can go somewhere. So I started doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm sure you grew up eating a lot
Yeah.
of peppers and Sichuan.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I think, yes, I grew up eating that, right? I grew up eating that flavor, and it's not something that I'm not familiar with. But I think at that particular moment, this is in 2018. Um, I think I've been living abroad for so many years, and I lived in India, in the Middle East, and U.S. Um, but I realized actually this is something very unique, very special. People just don't realize it. So I think only after so many years living abroad, I realized actually in my hometown there's something very special. Right. It's that realization.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think similarly for me. I mean, grew up in Ireland, but traveled all over the world and exposed to all different cultures, all different types of food,
Right.
and you kind of forget about it because you're bombarded by so many new things and so many new sensations and flavors, and you start to become accustomed and cultured to those different things, and then go back home and you're like I'd say re-inspired, or you remember some of these old things, and then you learn to you can kind of connect it to where you are now, and um,
But I think it's also a timing, right? Because you can be inspired. You can be inspired at any time. But I think it's particular that time. I was looking for something to do. I was looking for
Sure.
something different for my career, for my life. So I become very alert to business ideas. My senses opened up. My neurons were just all opened up
Yeah.
to be receptive
Yeah.
to different ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that timing wise, it worked out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the saying? When you're ready, the teacher will show himself.
True.
Himself.
Yeah.
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 And so 2018 was when you first started 50 Hertz.
Well, 2018 is when I got the idea. So to continue that story, I got this idea. I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. What's this oil? This oil, wow. I mean, it's amazing flavor, sensation. So when I came back to the US, I brought a bottle of the oil back to the US. And my partner, he was making, a pasta dish at home just for dinner. It was a very simple pasta. It was a very simple Thomas Keller recipe, actually in his like the home cook cookbook called Ad Hoc.
Okay.
It was just pasta with a lot of Parmesan cheese, shallots, cream, and the mushroom, and a lot of Parmesan cheese on the top. And then he drizzled a little of the oil I brought back from China. And he's from England, and he has never had it before. And I was like, oh my god, like what is this? Right? Because first of all, green Sichuan oil, for those who are not familiar with it, it's very floral, very citrusy. It cuts through. It's a citrus fruit, so it cuts through fattiness really well, and then it gives you the buzzing, numbing, tingling sensation. So for Patrick, who's from England, who has never had this before, it was like a mind-blowing moment.
Yeah.
Right. So he said, I think this can maybe go beyond Chinese food. It works so well with this pasta dish, right? And then that really sort of got my head spinning and churning. I was like, wow, maybe he got a point. Maybe this can go beyond the traditional Chinese Sichuan mala flavor.
Yeah.
Maybe it can be applied to even pasta. So yeah, so that's how it really got me started. So that's 2018. So I started ideating. And the idea was at the time was one, I want to do something with Sichuan pepper because I think nobody has done anything with this very unique spice, right? Maybe there's something I can do. And second is, I think my focus at the time was the oil, right? Because it was it was the product. I think I just want to launch that one product. So it was the green Sichuan pepper oil. So that's 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we first met maybe 2021, 22.
Yeah. Yeah. I was doing some demos.
Yeah, not far from here.
Not far from here.
Pottery, the
Yeah.
clay factory.
Which I was at 2 weeks ago, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And something always interesting come out of actually demoing in there. I can tell you later.
Okay.
But yes, that's where we met. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think at that time you had the peanuts.
I just had the
peanuts,
peanuts at the time.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe only a few months, like a couple of months after I launched the peanuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that process from, bringing it back and tasting it, having a dish, to creating a brand, and then obviously sourcing and everything. I mean, I'm sure that process is still kind of ongoing, but like, what did that look like?
So I had this idea to do this oil at the time, right? So I flew back to China after I had the idea. I think I was the summer of 2018. I mean, doing business in China is very casual. It's unlike here, right? You have to email, you have to schedule some meetings. In China, it's not like that, right? So I called a few friends, my childhood friend, and I said, hey, I have this idea of doing huajiao or Sichuan pepper oil. Yeah. And what are your favorite brands? So some friends, people actually don't really. The thing is, nobody really cared about this spice, so there's no real branding in China about the spice. So people just send me a few names, and I just cold called a few of them. And then, as I said, doing business in China is very casual. On the other end, people are just saying, "Oh, just show up, just come." Right. So I visited a few suppliers, and they are small business, and then I think speaking the dialect is very useful.
Sure.
So I can build trust easily. I can communicate with them, and I can convince them to work with me, because, as you can imagine, at the beginning the volume was so small. Yeah. I remember the first batch of the oil I got is 100 bottles. Okay. 120 bottles of this oil. Okay. Yeah. So you can imagine how small that volume was. But then, that's how we got started. Yeah. And then we're still doing all kinds of sourcing, but I think we're still using actually the same supplier. Even back then.
Oh, very cool. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned there that it's a citrus fruit. Mm-hmm. So tell me more about that.
So there's so many misnomers and misconcepts about Sichuan peppers, because it's a unique, very less known spice. It's so Sichuan pepper in China is called huajiao, right? Literally, the literal translation is flower pepper, right? But there's a lot of misconcept about it. First, it's actually a citrus fruit. It's not a pepper, or in English, most people call it Sichuan peppercorn, right? It's not a pepper or a peppercorn. It's actually a citrus fruit. So when you dry the fruit, the skin will pop, and then the black seeds will fall out, or the peppercorn will fall out, and then all the flavors and aroma concentrate on the skin or the husk of the fruit. So that's what we use, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, a lot of people say that Sichuan pepper or peppercorn, actually, which is fine, because Sichuan it's used prevalently in Sichuan cooking, but actually the whole region in southwest part of China, they all produce huajiao or Sichuan pepper. So it's calling it Sichuan pepper. Yeah. It's really a misnomer. I hope in maybe in 10 years we can actually call it by its name, like huajiao. Yeah. Like if you would call wasabi, you wouldn't call it Japanese mustard or more horseradish, right? Yeah. So I hope we get there one day. But that's my mission.
Yeah. And so obviously then, if it's a fruit, the fruiting bodies themselves are really small. They're really tiny little.
Yeah, it's like a little berry, right? Yeah. Think of it as like a tiny little citrus berry. Yeah.
I never knew that. That's cool.
Yeah.
And two types, right? The red and the green.
Exactly. That's another thing, right? So most people know Sichuan pepper is in red form, right? It is more famous, or traditionally, it's the red form that's being used in all these classic Chinese Sichuan dishes, right? Mapo tofu, kung pao chicken, you can name it, right? So they all use the red Sichuan peppers. But actually, there is another variety, which is the green one. The green one is not less mature than the red. It's just a different variety. So think of them as the red wine grapes and the white wine grapes.
Okay.
It's that type of relationship.
Yeah.
So the red one goes better with mapo tofu, kung chicken, or steak. The green one, like white wine grape, it goes better with fish, with seafood. The flavor is more floral, more citrusy, more bright. Yeah. It's very aromatic.
Very aromatic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And especially when you heat it, like for us, we use it in our ramen. We have the malagarlic tonkotsu.
Yeah.
We use it as soon as you put it in the soup, and it just the aroma is just.
So actually, there's a reason why you actually you like that combination, right? Because the green Sichuan pepper is, as you said, it's very aromatic. It's very citrusy, so it cuts through fat really well, right? If you add it to very rich ramen broth, it just goes really well. It's similar. Toki is a Japanese ramen place. In Japanese cuisine, there is sansho. I think sansho, which is basically, you can say it's the Japanese numbing pepper.
Yeah.
It's more lemony and less numbing than Sichuan pepper, but they're very close.
Yeah.
But how sansho is usually used in Japanese cuisine is with unagi, right? So if you have a unagi, like a grilled unagi, you would always sprinkle some sansho powder on the top.
Okay.
For that reason, because it's very citrusy, so it just balances the fatty unagi texture and flavor.
Yeah. And so I was going to ask you about that connection between the Japanese sansho. So I'm guessing the Japanese sansho is more the green variety versus the red.
Yeah.
And so it comes in different forms. Obviously, the whole pepper, the whole berry, dried berry, obviously infused in an oil like this, or in powder is the main forms it comes in.
Yeah. So actually, since we're talking about sansho, there are a few. So in the world, there are a few numbing ingredients that as far as I know, under my research, right? Sichuan pepper is probably the most famous one, or the most known. And then we talked about sansho. And in Nepal, there's another spice called the Timor. The color is more brown, so it's less pretty, and it's less numbing. It's less numbing as well. And then in Vietnam, there's another spice called the ma quan, also similar, numbing, floral, citrus. They're all close cousins or relatives of Sichuan pepper.
Okay.
And then in Brazil, there is this flower called the jambu. It's actually widely used in cocktails because it's a flower. You can just put on a cocktail. It gives that numbing, tingly. Because it's Sichuan pepper is so famous in that world, they call it They call that jambu flower a Sichuan button, right? But it's a misnomer because it's actually from Brazil.
Yeah. Fascinating. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so insofar as the process, because at different times, so we've been using the Sichuan oil since for about 1.5 to 2 years now.
Yeah.
And there were times before that where I had gotten Sichuan pepper oil, but it definitely wasn't as, I think it was the red oil actually. I don't know whether the red oil might be more common or around here, but and it definitely wasn't as fragrant. It was just not the same quality.
Yeah.
And afterwards, also trying to kind of recreate it myself with hot oil, that kind of thing. But I know you said to me before, there's a specific temperature to extract that, right?
So usually, your process is probably okay, and a lot of home cooks and home chefs, they make their own Sichuan pepper oil. Basically, they bring the oil to like a boiling temperature, and then they pour it on top of like dried peppers. And that process is okay. I mean, it's probably, you can extract some flavors, and it's okay for home use. But the problem is, one, the heat actually attenuates the potency and the aroma. And second, if you burn the peppers, then you create like this bitterness. How we do it is really when there's no burning or boiling involved. When Sichuan pepper is first harvested, as I said, it's a citrus fruit. So we infuse the fresh fruit into non-GMO rapeseed oil, which is the basis of Sichuan cooking. And then we use a technique which is like a supersonic thing. It creates this vibration, so it helps break the oil bumps on the surface of the fruit to release the aroma, the essential oil. So that's how we do it. So it's less intrusive.
Yeah.
It really keeps the flavor, the aroma, and everything.
Very gentle, very
very gentle way. Yeah. Very natural.
Yeah. And so you just said that rapeseed oil. So that's the most common kind of oil seed.
Exactly. I mean, canola, right?
Yeah.
But everyone is confused. A lot of people confused with rapeseed oil with canola, right? Canola is highly processed, and canola, the word is actually man-made. Canola stands for Canadian oil, low acid. That's canola. Yeah, with low acid. But the basis of the origin of it is rapeseed.
And so the process for making the oil in Chongqing,
in Chongqing,
is different to the process here, or is it similar process?
It's different. I mean, rapeseed oil in China is actually non-GMO. It's just very it actually has its own aroma to it. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. I think the stuff we get here is quite highly processed.
Very highly processed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, probably that'll. Yeah. I'm sure that also lends as well to the oil, to the delicacy of the oil as well.
Yeah.
So I was going to say something else.
Actually, I was curious.
Yeah.
Since you've been using our oil, our essential oil in your ramens, right? Which has been actually a dream for me. I wish there could be more ramen shops that can use more Sichuan peppers in their ramen, because it's really a good combo. So I'm actually curious. Now you said it's being used in like 2 years. Any feedback from customers? What's your take? And then how are you using it in which flavor? Is it a Sichuan flavor, or is it a Japanese flavor? In tonkatsu, how do you tell us a bit more about that? Yeah.
So I obviously have been familiar with Sichuan oil and mala. The sensation, the combination of pepper and chili for a while. But I was in Thailand, I was in Bangkok a couple of years ago, and everywhere was mala tonkatsu, mala ramen everywhere. Obviously large Chinese tourist population going to Bangkok, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I even tasted it, but we'd already met at this stage, and so I went back. I was like, oh, I gotta get in touch with Yao and try this out. And we tried it out with a few different things. First on its own with the pork broth, the classic pork broth, and it was good. But as we played with it a little bit more, we incorporated toom, essentially, which is the Lebanese
the garlic super strong. Yeah.
But strong, but it's not like super,
I love it.
It's great.
I used to live in the Middle East, so I love toom.
Yeah.
But you'd be antisocial afterwards.
I mean, it's okay. Yes, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But the toom, obviously it tempers the kind of the heat on the garlic a little bit, and then with the lemon in there as well, so it's kind of fragrant and citrusy, which really lends itself well and complements the green Sichuan pepper oil. And as you mentioned, which I didn't think of, I didn't know, but it cuts through the fat. Like, it was a rich porky broth, so it really cuts through it and makes it much more really moreish. You just want to keep on eating, and of course, as you start getting numb, it's a funny, strangely addictive sensation. And so now it's one of our top sellers. It's a top 3 seller in both restaurants in DC and Baltimore.
What's the name of that ramen?
Well, we call it the mala garlic tonkatsu, which isn't exactly accurate, because as we spoke about before, the mala is the combination of chili and Sichuan. And so this isn't, our bowl isn't like terribly spicy. It has chili oil in it, but it's not like crazy Sichuan spice. And
you should call it tingly garlic or something like that.
Maybe. and it's there's a little bit confusion sometimes when we get Chinese people coming in, for example, and they're expecting
a mala.
yeah. So
that's the thing. Like I feel like that's the pitfall, or like actually that's my personal or my business biggest marketing challenge, because whenever I mention whenever I say, oh, I sell Sichuan peppers, immediately people think I'm selling mala.
Yeah.
I'm selling a chili oil, or I'm selling chili crisp, right? That's one. And second is whenever I mention, if I say tingly, because people just don't have that concept at all, right? It's a little bit like if you think of wasabi, right? Maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago, if you tell an American, hey, there's this very unique sensation from wasabi, people just don't understand. But now, because Japanese food is so well received and recognized, an average American would understand like that kick, right? You don't really have to describe it, because enough people have experienced it, right? And I think for me, that's my challenge. But hopefully, maybe we can expedite that, product recognition, because of social media, because of like there's so many new ways of doing things. I hope in the future we don't have to really explain to people what numbing, tingling spice is, right? People just will, we've tried this.
Yeah.
We know it, what that is. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the great things about being in the US is all the different cultures, all the different foods, the availability that we have, and I think people are more and more aware, and particularly with social media and everything, more and more familiar and more curious to try new things and new sensations and new flavors. I'd say one thing that when guests ask for the Malagarlic tonkotsu, we always tell them, have you had it before? Are you familiar with Sichuan pepper? Because we've had on enough occasions that people start eating it and they think they're getting an allergic reaction. And
that's the most important, actually. That's another reason why I would suggest you call it tingly numbing. The problem is, if you tell people in advance and they're expecting it, they're totally fine, right? I think the problem is when they just don't know. And that's when they're like, oh my God, what is happening? So I feel like if that's so important to communicate that very important piece of information on the menu, in the description.
I mean, we always in advance now. Everyone.
So funny enough, for me, actually, we have been doing this business for now 5 years, right? I actually have never received any person, because we said it everywhere, right? Tingly, numbing, you will feel a little buzzing, numbing, tingling sensation. So people like, there's just no confusion for us. But I think the problem is, in other occasions, right? People are expecting something else.
Absolutely. No, you're right. And you get it. If it's coming by surprise, you're not expecting. The mind first goes to, oh my God, I'm having an allergic reaction. But aside from that, it's very, very well received. People really love it. It's so fragrant. There's so much going on. It's rich and delicious. And
it's an exciting flavor. It's an exciting flavor.
It really is. And so where does the name 50 Hertz come from?
Good. Yeah, right. So by the way, our company is called 50 Hertz Tingly Foods. So 50 Hertz, when I first started the business, I was doing research, and I read this paper published in 2013 by a neuroscientist in London. He did this experiment. He described the buzzing, tingling, numbing sensation that you feel on your tongue and your lips. It vibrates at 50 Hertz frequency. He measured it. So and then I took that as our brand name, because as I have been talking now for a while, and our goal is to introduce the spice, but also that numbing, tingling sensation, right? I think it's a new flavor sensation. Can be the new wasabi, I think. So I think 50 Hertz just really captures that that concept, that mission perfectly. I flew to London to meet him, and he know me and I know him. He's a great guy.
Cool. That's cool. We do actually have another dish, a cold summer soba noodle that we use the oil in.
That's nice.
More spicy, like a spicy, oily kind of.
Because this again, like I think your culinary sense is really spot on, because usually the green oil in China are used in cold appetizer dishes, a little bit like a cold soba, right? Like in China, you would use this as like like a cucumber salad, like a cold dish, because it just works well because the numbing sensation is actually the opposite of a chili pepper. Chili pepper is the burning, right? Burns you, which people love, but actually the numbing sensation is the cooling effect. It's that balance, right? So that's why I think it goes really well with like a drink. If you are having like a beer or like a soda, it intensifies that cooling, that iciness.
Yeah. I remember when you came up to Baltimore last time, we
Yeah.
had a cocktail on the menu.
Yeah.
We made like a honey based Sichuan
Yeah.
Sichuan syrup, which was really good, really lovely as well. And so I know I saw not long ago you had a video posted you went to the farm and you were cutting and picking the berries.
Yeah.
And so it's all organic as well, right?
Well, yes. Well, yes and no. I think the farmers, they do use pesticides, but it's within the minimum amount. And getting organic in that part of China is also very tricky.
Okay.
So we just don't have the organic certification yet.
Okay.
But I actually, this is also like a dream for me, right? If we have enough interest, traction, volume, we would love to actually say, hey, this piece of land, right, just supply to us, and then we'll just make it like totally, pesticide free, and then just do it our way.
Yeah. And it's single. Is it a single? It's a single farm, a single producer you work from, or is it multiple farms?
Multiple. We have multiple, and then we work with the supplier that they collect. They basically collect the harvest from different small farmers, and then they are like a co-op together. And then it's really good that you mentioned the harvest, right? So harvest is really tough. There's the harvest season there's only one harvest each year. It's in July and August, and then it's very hot in southern China or anywhere in Asia in the summer. So it's really hard work. There's no automation. Sichuan pepper is also called prickly ash. So it's very thorny and spiky. You can only use your hand, use your dexterous skills to navigate through the thorns and spikes, and then cut the peppers. And I've been there, now many times, and then it's really hard work.
Yeah, I remember looking at that video. It seemed very tricky.
Very tricky. Yeah.
And is there a particular type of soil or like or region, not region, but where does it grow best?
Yeah, so Sichuan pepper likes actually like cold winter and hot, sultry summer. It thrives in the heat of summer, and also it likes mountainous regions, right? That's why reaching that region is quite hard. But the infrastructure in China is so good, so it's actually no problem. So I first also I started business during COVID, so I couldn't really go actually for a couple of years. And then in 2013, I took like our team to Sichuan, and then we went and we just drove directly to the mountain. It's far. It's like 3 hours, really deep in the mountain. So it likes summer heat. It likes to be in like high altitude mountainous regions, and yeah, it's also in the southwest part of China, which is this whole region. And then when I went into the mountain, it smells so good. The whole mountain, when it's like harvesting, the whole mountain smells like Sichuan pepper.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's really incredible, and the color is so bright, right? The red is really red, and the green is really green. So the whole mountain looks like, it has that color.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And also one last thing is, the particular farm we went to, it was the whole village or the whole farm was powered by by wind powers. So there are giant wind turbines in the middle of the mountain. So it's not like it's a poor remote region, but the infrastructure in China is so good now. So it's funny because I used to do clean energy development, and now I sell Sichuan peppers.
Yeah.
But so standing in the field with Sichuan pepper in the Sichuan pepper field, powered by wind power.
Yeah.
It's really like an eerie completion of my career or some of sort. Yeah, we have videos online. Yeah,
completing the circle.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And so it's a bush or a tree?
It's a tree.
Tree.
It's like a tree.
How
tall?
How tall are they, and how long does it take to get to maturity?
To maturity, I'm not sure actually. How tall? I would say it's about like 5'11", about my height.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a tall tree, but not like a bush.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a small tree. Yeah.
And they'll continue after, because you prune, right?
You prune.
And then it'll continue to grow.
It will continue to grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many, like, how old do the Sichuan plants get? Do you have any idea?
I am not sure, but actually what I know is I actually know individually some people grow Sichuan pepper trees in the U.S. Yeah, I've heard from people in Hudson Valley, in Shenandoah Valley, in Vashon Island outside of Seattle, and also in San Francisco, but at a very, very tiny little scale, basically in people's backyard. Yeah, you can grow it.
I mean, I imagine it must be really tough work, because like the bushes themselves probably don't produce a huge amount of berries.
No.
A huge amount, right? So
no.
And then afterwards to get the oil, like say for example this oil here, roughly how many Sichuan peppercorns would it take to make this?
I actually I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it is actually a lot of Sichuan peppers has to go into this to make this oil.
I'm sure
it's quite a bit, and we have actually videos of showing how like how much amount on our website. But what I also know is some people use reuse the peppers for cooking afterwards. And I mean, I think it's okay, but we never really used it.
Sure.
And we just use it for other, like, to make it into a biomass or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so after they prune the trees, the berries, they're sun dried?
Well, traditionally it's sun dried to make dried peppers. But now actually you want to be able to control the temperature much better. And then now it's actually not sun dried. Well, there's still, if it's at a very if it's at a very small scale or at like a farmer's own house, they still sun dry the peppers to make dried peppers. But our facility, we have like machines to really control the temperature to do it properly. And then also we manually sift through all the black seeds that I was telling you. A lot of times in the US, if you go to like an Asian market, if you buy Sichuan peppers, usually one is they're pretty old, so the color is very off. Second, they're full of black seeds. Yeah, and the black seeds is just like there's no flavor. It's bitter and gritty, so you don't want it.
And so the oil was the first product that you guys came out with?
The oil is the very first product, and then we expand to have the dried peppers because that's what actually chef is most familiar with. And then, as I said, our goal is to introduce this new flavor and sensation to mainstream Americans. I quickly realized actually these oils and peppers wouldn't be able to do it because the barriers of entry is very high, right? You can't really have people to drink the oil or eat the peppers directly. So I need something like a snack who can carry the flavor forward. Then that's when the peanuts came about. That's when we first met. And then I think the peanuts really changed, like a game changer for us. It's very tasty, so it's very high quality peanuts. And then we flavor the peanuts with the pepper. So it's still a mala, so it's a little bit spicy, but the dominant flavor and sensation is the numbing sensation. And it's really good with a drink, with a cold beer, with a cocktail. And then now it's actually our bestseller.
I'm sure. It's so good.
It's really good.
And the peanuts themselves, these beautiful big peanuts.
Very, very big peanuts and plump, and very crunchy and nutritious. And then I actually went to the peanut farms last year.
And that's in the same region, same area?
No, actually that's in the north. The peanuts is from this province called Henan. So Henan is actually the cradle of Chinese civilization, actually. So everyone knows Yangtze River, right, in the south.
Sure.
But actually, the other mother rivers is called the Yellow River, which is in the north. That's where actually the Chinese civilization started. So all the old Chinese dynasties, they all actually built along that Yellow River. So the reason why the peanuts grow there is so big and plump and nutritious is because the Yellow River historically floods every year.
Mhm.
It's been problematic all across the history. So the soil next to the Yellow River is very sandy and but also very nutritious because from the river.
Mhm.
So the sandy nutritious soil allows the peanuts to grow really really big because it's sandy. So the peanuts are not restricted
Yeah.
by the hard soil because it's very sandy. And then also the roots can go really deep.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's something I learned. I was like, wow, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And yeah, you sell them on Amazon now, right?
We sell on Amazon. We sell on Amazon, but I think the best place is to visit our website because we really want to build like a small community, and we have maybe like a 10,000 on our website. Yeah, so we know who you are, and we always do, and we write the newsletters every week.
That's right.
I really enjoy that process just to build and storytelling. Like I have so much story. Like I couldn't shut up right now, right? You shut me up if I talk too much. Yes.
No, not at all. It's great.
Yeah.
Great. And so from the oil to the peanuts, and then also the brittle. We were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. So it was one of the newer products.
So yeah. So I think the whole thing is I think this numbing, tingling sensation can go into so many things, right? We talked about ramen.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about peanuts.
Yeah.
Cocktails,
Cocktails.
right? I think it can go to many things. So increasingly, either out of my own initiative or people reached out to us, we have done 2 chocolate products. This is one of them. This is like a toffee brittle. We should actually. I don't think you have tried it.
I haven't tried it.
I should really.
Oh, yeah, I'd love
yeah.
to.
I'll give you some. This is handmade in San Francisco.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
it's caramel inside. Yeah, so we have made 2 chocolate. One is this brittle, so toffee, and then there's another one which is a dark chocolate, made in Boston. This is made in San Francisco, and then we have brewed 2 beers with 2 local DC breweries and one with Brooklyn Brewery, actually. Yeah, and then I think the application is actually infinite.
Yeah.
We are expanding the nuts category. We're gonna launch a tingly Sichuan Pepper cashew in a few months.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I've caught my throat. And yeah, so now you've got partnerships all over the country.
Yeah, we do quite a few collaborations. We have quite a few interesting because we're a small company, so I just don't have the capacity to do our own our own product all the time.
Sure.
So oils, peppers, peanuts, I would say it's our product, but we do all of these kind of collaborations, right? So we collaborate with really high quality boutiques, independent brands to make brittles, to make chocolate, we also have a salt coming up. We're gonna do a Sichuan Pepper salt, and then we're gonna do all kinds of things. I think all kinds of opportunities will arise. Yeah.
And so now 50 Hertz. How many people on the team?
I actually started doing this full time as of 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I have kept my consulting job with the World Bank for 4.5 years, and then I feel like now it's time. I'm busy. Like I couldn't really split my energy.
Yeah.
And then I'm the only full-time employee, and I have people around me to support me. but I think entrepreneurship is hard. I'm taking this as a at a slow pace.
Mhm.
I do have now, like operations person. She's fantastic, and I have like a fractional CFO. He's also phenomenal. And then I think what I really need also, I need a real good marketing person. And then I think we're good. I think a small team can make a big dent. I believe in small team,
Yeah.
and then everyone's outperforming itself with their passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And so the red oil is also so between the red and the green,
Yeah.
which is the more popular, which you make more of?
So I think the green has more leg. I think the green is just the green is novel. It's unfamiliar to a lot of chefs, which is the challenge, right? Because they just don't know the existence of the green oil or the green peppers actually. So I would say currently, the red one is more popular.
Oh, really?
Because that's
Huh.
what people are familiar with,
Yeah.
and that's what people want to cook mapo tofu with, because everyone cooks mapo tofu. But I think ultimately, I think the green, which is my initial attraction to this business, even as you remember, and I was talking the cucumber salad things. I think it's truly quite special.
Yeah.
Yeah, the green. Yeah.
And so aside from of the obviously 50 Hertz website,
Mm-hmm.
there's a few shops. We're in DC here.
Yeah.
So a few places here in DC also
Mhm.
selling.
Yeah. So Amazon, our own website, and we have quite a few shops actually nationwide. I would say mainly our main market is DC, New York. New York, we're selling at Chelsea Market, and Boston, a couple of places, and the Bay Area.
Okay.
The Bay Area is a huge market for us.
Okay.
And Seattle. We just got into a regional, like a local grocery chain in Seattle.
Brilliant.
Yeah, really, really nice. And actually, our peppers are now distributed by Chef's Warehouse.
Okay.
Right. That's actually I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
you
yeah,
at the
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. So our peppers are we have become their exclusive Sichuan pepper supplier. They're a great partner. It's great that they took us on, right? Because it's a niche product,
Sure.
and then but they care about qualities and stuff. Yeah, so through them we have been actually supplying to like 11 Madison Park, like Nobu, because I can see the sales report,
Yeah.
so I can see this. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, it's really quite amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so what else have you got? What have you got coming up? Anything 50 Hertz related? Any events or anything coming up?
We just did our first Sichuan Pepper multi-course dinner. Yeah,
Cool.
remember we did one like a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
The ramen.
Mhm.
We'd love to do it again. Actually,
Yeah.
we should do another like a Sichuan Pepper night.
Absolutely.
I think now there's more to show off, but actually last Friday we did our first multi-course Sichuan Pepper, like a fine dining ish, like a meal.
Yeah.
5 course. Every dish has Sichuan Pepper in it.
Yeah.
And the chef Ting Yu, he just he did a phenomenal job incorporate. So the first dish was a crudo. He used the green oil in the coconut cream and oil sauce.
Okay.
with some citrus and with very high quality raw tuna to make this crudo. That was phenomenal. And then he himself is a dim sum chef.
Okay.
His family has been running a dim sum restaurant for 40 years. So he's like the second generation. So dim sum is very dear to his heart.
Yeah.
So he made this taro cake with but the sauce is a hoisin sauce with our red peppers.
Okay.
Right. And then he made a pasta, a spaghetti with they call it a mapo. So the sauce is he pureed the mapo tofu into like a creamy sauce.
Okay.
So it's a mapo pasta. And then the main course is actually a steak. He rubbed the steak with the red peppers to marinate into all of that, and that was phenomenal. And then the last dish was like a mango sorbet.
Okay.
But the inspiration is actually Thai because his girlfriend is Thai, So he went to Thailand for the first time, and in Thailand you have the mango with the spicy salt.
Yeah.
So he made the salt with our peppers and some chilies and some like salt and sugar.
Yeah.
That was just really really nice. So yeah, so we finally materialized that, and it was hosted at Rice Market, which is this Thai restaurant, but they have this phenomenal test kitchen space. So 12 seats all sold out, and everyone was very happy. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, it's it's been great
Yeah.
partnering with you, and seeing, I think as well, really really cool to see the development and the rise and the growth of the business, and really really impressive, and absolutely love the products. And we're, as I said, we're working on another bar in Baltimore, and these peanuts are absolute bee's knees, and especially for drinking and things. So excited to get them, start working with them as well. And just congratulations on all your success, man, and many continued success.
No, Liv, I mean you're so gracious. I mean when we first met, and immediately, and we that was for small business, right? 2 years, we met maybe 2.5 years ago. For small business, that's a long time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things happen, but I think you took it on early stage and then made it happen. I'm so very grateful and very happy to support the opening of your new bar in Baltimore. I'm really happy to support when you open it. Just let me know. We're happy to actually send some products for you to just try it out.
I'm excited for the people of Baltimore to get down on some tingly peanuts with their drinks.
Actually, we actually sell quite a few peanuts to the bars. One is the brewery in DC. It's a proven, like they sell a lot of the peanuts there. And also I think a couple of bars in Baltimore as well, actually.
Okay.
So it will be really good.
And let's definitely do something again soon. Another collab, some kind of a dinner or something.
Yeah, the dinner will be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be really awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming out.
No, this has been fun.
Yeah, man,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.